It's a little bit conservative. I would say the property is a conservative property, and well, most landed properties are a little bit conservative anyway. The small C I'm talking about now, and of course big C, because they're constructed. A lot of these properties are constructed on politics. You know, on my previous employment, there's a 4-mile drive from Trelissick all the way to Tregothon. Fantastic. That's a political statement. Look at me, I got a 4-mile drive to my place. You know, it's a political statement telling everybody else where their position in life is, and keeping people out of the property here, which in my youth, properties like this, if you looked over the hedge, you know, they tell you to clear off. We don't want you to look at the property. That's why I work for the trust. The trust, you know, we encourage that. The whole ethos of the trust is we want people to come and enjoy this beautiful, beautiful scenery.
My name is Sharpe and I'm one of the gardeners here.
My name is Hugh Lythell, I'm visitor reception assistant.
My name's Richard Couch, I'm a gardener at Trelissick Gardens.
My name's Laura Van Everlingen and I work in the catering for the National Trust. I've been working for the National Trust for 13 years.
My name is Barry Champion and I'm the retired head gardener here at Trelissick.
It's a very magical place. I've seen it grow in the years, because when I first started it wasn't as busy as it is now, but it's so busy now. So we've had such a busy year and it's still coming together and everything.
Every day's different, always doing something different every day, so it's just a beautiful place to work. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
I've always worked in retail, and to a lot of people it's a chore, but people come here because they want to come here, so they want to be entertained, they want to be informed.
Having the house come back to us recently has changed the way that people visit the garden, how people come into the garden, so we're sort of going to try and develop the area around the house into something a bit more formal, because it's always been sort of more closed off. People didn't really go and visit that part, so if we can develop that a bit more and have it, you know, more of an entrance, really more of an introduction into the garden.
It's a beautiful, beautiful house from my point of view, and now the donor family has vacated the house. We've got the responsibility now of maintaining it and managing it ourselves, which is a great challenge for the trust.
We've not had time to prepare or invest a lot in there yet to do what we actually want to do with it, so it's going to take time. Whereas gardens had years and years and years of development over the time, so it's just going to be the same for the house. It's going to take time to develop for it to be a really good visitor place to come.
I think Trelissick is a multi-layered property. You've got the house, which has just come on board, you've got the gardens, you've got the parkland, you've got the views, which are stunning.
We're surrounded by water on 3 sides, so we're like a little headland out on our own. We're able to grow quite unique plants here compared to other places because of the climate.
The sort of position of it is quite different to a lot of the sort of other Cornish gardens, which tend to be in valleys, so this one's sort of a bit different, where it's up on a peninsula, it's quite high up, which means you get all these great views around. So it's sort of this time of year, especially with all the trees losing their leaves, you get some really good views up the river and down to Falmouth.
There's something extremely tranquil about Trelissick and the views. I mean, the views out there are really unsurpassed. Spring's the best because of the magnolias and the camellias, rhododendrons. That garden is absolutely magical in the spring.
Trelissick itself is not a grand country house. It isn't grand. My ex-boss always used to say to me, Trelissick was a grand estate in miniature, and that really sums it up. It's quite small estate.
You go to somewhere like Terris on the north coast and you can imagine a small family living there. You go to Lanhydrock and it's much more of a large stately home, and this I feel is somewhere between. I
think the taking back the house is probably the best thing that has ever happened to the property, in that we got control of the house. The general public now can come in, but from a gardening point of view, we've now got the kitchen garden on song, so that's going to be a great project for the garden team now.
Certainly the garden volunteers have been quite excited about it. I mean, but more from the sort of horticultural point of view, because there was parts of the areas around the house which they didn't have, or we didn't have anything really to do with, because it was sort of controlled by the family. So it's just given us and the volunteers a more wider range of plants to work with and different areas to work with. So I think it has been really exciting just to get that back.
I think we've all got an investment in the trust. I think we all realise what the work it does nationally, And what is interesting is we get a lot of foreign visitors, and they all comment on the national scope of the trust. You know, they have obviously heritage properties in other countries, but they don't have organisations which has the scope of the trust, you know, from the coastline to houses.
Definitely with this whole area, I think if it hadn't come to the trust, I wouldn't have thought any of this would be here. I'd say more likely it would have been a lot of building. You know, look just up the road, there's a lot of bungalows and things on the side of the river. I think that would have probably happened here. So it's definitely really integral to the landscape, and just really integral that it's been kept this way and not just been built on, or hadn't been it's been left as it would have been.
Since the Trust have taken over the garden, it's developed quite a lot, because I think the National Trust, as far as I'm concerned, is the longest owner of Trelissick, so we have made quite an impact on the estate. With all the houses and the garden and the parkland, and the way we manage things is quite different from like when the Copelands used to own it, say. So I think, the Trust has made a huge impact.
When I started, there was a lot more trees, and there was a lot more areas of the garden that were sort of a bit overgrown. So over the sort of time we've been here, we've been doing a lot of clearing and replanting. So I think it's definitely opened up a lot more since I started. And we're just sort of increasing the range of plants we've got as well now, and trying to get sort of more unusual things from different collectors, so people that have been around the world. So I think we're trying to continue the sort of collecting of the more rarer plants, just to carry on the sort of work that people have done.
I think the Trust has always got a lot for the future, because you've got up and coming generations. We do a lot to attract children, 50 things for them to do, rolling down hills, climbing trees and involving them, because you get them visitors to come young and they'll come again and again. We've got one tree in the centre of our main lawn. Families have had their photos taken within that tree, and you get generations. The parents will take their children's photos. I've got my children sitting in that tree. I've got a lovely big photo at home, and it looks great.
When I first started, I think people frowned on children coming to be honest. Oh, children, noisy devils, we don't want them in the garden, we don't want them around. But now we're all embracing, and we really are proactive with kids, and I think that's a real bonus for what the Trust are trying to achieve.